Hello everybody! So a while ago I did a review of the Carousel fountain pen from Ferris Press. It wasn't really a review, it was more of a first impressions and unboxing. But I've been using this pen for about 2 months now, and I feel like I have kind of changed my opinion on it, at least from the unboxing. And also, I recently received a Kaweco Perkeo, which has frequently been compared to the Carousel fountain pen from Ferris Press, at least in looks and general functionality, I guess. But I don't think I've seen anyone compare these two pens directly, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. So, I think that I'm going to just make maybe a t-shirt to show you the difference between these pens and maybe give my overall thoughts on how these two compare and which one I would suggest buying depending on what you want. Right, so we first of all have the Parasol Fountain Pen. You can see I actually have them in two colors, and maybe I'll explain why later in the video. But right here I have I think it's Forget Me Not, which is this light blue color, and I also have Seaside Glass, which is this really nice muted green color. The colors, like the color selection of these Carousel fountain pens are so nice. Like, I love the colors that are available from Ferris Press, which is great. Anyways, this one is inked up with Moss Park Green, and this is on Tomoe River paper, cream colored. Moss Park Green is this really pretty muted green. It can sometimes be a little bit too light to write with, but I recently added a little bit of glycerin to it, which actually really helped with the flow, because otherwise it's kind of dry. Okay, I'm just making a little t-shirt here. Cool. So I'll put the Kaweco Perkeo on this side. And the Ferris Press Carousel fountain pen. On this side. Oh my goodness. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to be testing it out with my other colored pen. This is inked up with Writing Desk, also from Ferris Press. And maybe I'll do actually, you know what? I'm going to do the Kaweco Perkeo first, because this ink has a tendency of smudging. Alright, so this Kaweco Perkeo is just inked up with the standard blue ink that comes with the pen. It's just a nice ink cartridge. So the first thing that, this Kaweco Perkeo has is really smooth writing. On Tomoe River, but also just like on regular notebook paper. It's also consistent. How do you spell consistent? I'm saying the E or an A? I don't know. Maybe I'll do a writing sample right here. So this is with a medium nib. And Kaweco blue. Perfect. And this color is, I think, peony pink. I'm actually not sure what. It has peony in it, but it's like the pink version of the Kaweco Perkeo. And the Carousel. How does this write? Well, It can write smoothly, but I find that it can be a little bit of a finicky pen. Um, yeah, it can sometimes be scratchy, a little bit finicky. I find that really depending on the ink, because it's a little bit of a drier pen, this can really not write too smoothly and can actually like have a pretty bad scratch to it. This is the fine nib, so keep that in mind. I am comparing a fine nib to a medium nib. Might not be a great comparison in terms of like scratchiness, because fine nibs tend to be scratchier in the first place. But I don't know, I have had a lot of issues with scratchiness from this pen, and that is actually why I asked for a replacement in the first place. So this was my original pen. I was having a lot of issues with scratchiness and flow, specifically with Ferris Press's Peppermint Drop ink. It just like wasn't coming out. Maybe I'll show a video of what's happening right here. So as you can see, this pen was having a lot of issues with scratchiness, with flow. The ink just wasn't coming out. And I continue to have these issues until basically I switched to a different ink, and then it started flowing okay. But I just find that the pen can be like super finicky with how smooth it writes and with how aligned the tines are. It seems to like come unaligned super easily and isn't a very consistent experience, I guess. Sometimes it's really nice and then sometimes it sucks. I don't really know why that is. I don't have a super wide frame of reference for fountain pens, so I don't know. It's possible that this is just something that happens with fine nibs, but I don't think so. Anyways, I think that I'll compare the fine nib on the Kaweco Perkeo the medium nib on the Kaweco Perkeo to the medium nib on the Platinum Preppy, because I feel like that is something that a lot of people have used and have like a frame of reference for. So I'm just going to make a few lines here. So this is the medium nib in the Kaweco blue, or Kaweco Perkeo fine nib, medium nib. Oh geez. And then this is a medium in the Platinum Preppy, so like 0.5, right? Okay. It's in red, so. I find that the Platinum Preppy medium is way wider, so this is kind of on the edge of being fine, I would say. And now let's flip over to the fine nib in the Ferris Press pen. I'll just make a few lines. It's quite fine, I find. It depends how wetly it's writing. Sometimes it just decides to write a lot wetter, and then the line weight is a bit more. Sometimes it doesn't, and then the line weight is a bit less. Anyways, here is the fine in the Platinum Preppy, so let's just see how that compares. Platinum Preppy fine is a little bit wider, but not by a whole lot. As you can see, this can sometimes have hard starts. I don't know why. Anyways, so let's continue with the comparison and just talking about the body of the pen and, you know, some aspects of it. Starting with the Kaweco Perkeo, I find that this pen does post, but I find that it's not a super comfortable post. I prefer it unposted. It just feels like there's a lot of weight at the back when you do post it, because it's kind of a heavy lid. So I normally use it unposted. Also, the posting isn't great. It's just like a friction fit, but it doesn't have any firm click. However, where this pen is nice is in how the feed connects to the body. It has a little mechanism here that makes it have a very like firm kind of click. You can really feel it just like click. You can't really over close it or anything, which is really nice. The Carousel Fountain Pen does post well, I think. It's not a super firm post, but you can kind of feel it click into place. And it doesn't feel super firm, but I find that I've never had issues with it, you know, flying off or anything. I have had issues with the cap flying off posted on the Kaweco Perkeo. In terms of how the nib unit connects, or the feed unit connects to the body, it has a ton of really fine teeth that allows it to connect to the body, and I find that it is a pretty firm shut, although sometimes when I open it, it has come loose, like kind of like that, and I have to just squeeze it shut. You can definitely over close this, and I have found that at the beginning when I was using this pen, I did have a tendency of doing that, and I found that the lip of the body just is kind of flared a little bit now. Not by a whole lot, but maybe I shouldn't have done that. Next thing is the grip. How does this grip? Well, this has a three-sided grip, right? So for quote-unquote proper grip. And it kind of slants down, which is nice. This one is a straight grip and it's hexagonal. So the thing about this is that you can have the same grip writing upright and the same grip writing reversed, which could be nice, although I don't really feel like this pen writes super well reversed. It's a bit too fine for my taste. This is kind of like the grip of a pencil, so it shouldn't be too unfamiliar, but I do find it can be kind of slippery, especially because this plastic is just like a really glossy, smooth plastic. Whereas in the Kaweco Perkeo, I find that my fingers aren't slipping around at all, and the plastic is a little bit more matte and has just a teensy bit more grip to it, which also prevents slipping. In terms of the nib sizes, the Carousel seems to be no, they seem to be pretty much the same. The Carousel might be like a teensy bit bigger. On the Carousel, you can see it's engraved with a little, oh my goodness, a little horsey. And on the Kaweco Perkeo, it has the Kaweco logo and like made in Germany. It's nice, some filigree, etc., etc. This was the box that the Ferris wheel press Carousel fountain pen came in. As you can see, it's just really beautiful. It has a lot of gold trim on it, and it's just very aesthetically pleasing. It has this little cutout, which I think is why you can open up the pen and it's kind of like covered in factory dust, which is kind of unappealing, but that's because it has this cutout in it. And yeah, it's just like a really beautiful box. And I think that they put a lot of hard work into making it a beautiful box and an aesthetically appealing unboxing experience. I've kept around all of my Ferris wheel press packaging. I use it to fill up, you know, fountain pen materials and ink samples and stuff like that, because it's just like really beautiful and I want to keep it around. The Kaweco Perkeo didn't really come with any packaging at all. It came in a clear plastic sleeve that I basically threw out immediately because why would you need it, right? But where, you know, they don't do a lot of packaging, I do feel like the pen itself feels of a higher quality. I love this little engraved coin at the top of the pen. There is a little breather hole at the bottom, which does prevent it from being ink drop or eyedropper convertible, if that's something you want to do. Meanwhile, the Carousel Fountain Pen, as soon as I've opened it, I thought it felt kind of cheap. You can kind of see the little, if it will focus, little belly button that can sometimes appear in like acrylic resin molds. And again at the bottom, a little belly button. And also on the teeth of where the grip section and the body connect, another little belly button. It's just small details where it does make the pen look a little bit cheap, and I feel like they could have done something to cover that up. Meanwhile, in the Kaweco Perkeo, you really don't see that anywhere. It's covered up here, and you can see it down here. On the teeth, you can see where the belly buttons would have been, but they've actually shaved them down, which is nice. So you really can't see any evidence of the acrylic molding, which gives it, I think, a higher quality finish. Kaweco Perkeo comes with a blank cartridge and a cartridge full of blue ink, which I'm using right now. It's a nice ink that the pen comes with. It's kind of like this warm blue, which I actually really like. I didn't think I would like blue inks, but I like it quite a lot. When I did open this up, the ink cartridge had actually like burst open and there was ink everywhere. This is kind of a messier pen, even not considering the little ink explosion at the beginning. I find that it's kind of prone to splattering and getting ink along right here, the lip below the nib. It hasn't been a huge issue so far, but that is something I have noticed. The Carousel Fountain Pen comes with a converter, standard international converter, which is actually pretty high quality. I've liked it a lot. And the converter just has a little plastic ball in it to prevent, to break the surface tension, etc., etc. I've liked the converter quite a bit. I have nothing to complain about that. And it is nice that it comes with a converter because, you know, obviously Ferris Press doesn't carry any cartridges, ink cartridges, so you would need the converter with it. And it is nice that that is included because with a lot of pens around this price range, you don't get a converter included with it. In terms of the caps themselves, let's look. This one spins for some reason. I don't know why it spins. This one obviously doesn't. I don't think it's supposed to spin. It has 12 engravings, or it's a 12 facet cap, and it's a snap cap on the Carousel Fountain Pen. I can do this. There we go. It kind of acts as a roll stop, but obviously if it has momentum, it will still roll. And I have found that this can kind of roll off your desk if you're not watching it, and if it has momentum, if your desk is kind of tilted. This is a 8-faceted cap, which also acts as a roll stop, but same thing, if it has momentum, it will still roll. But I find that it works a little bit better than the Carousel Fountain Pen at stopping your pen from rolling. So also a snap cap. I find that the snap isn't as like firm as the Carousel, but it still does the job, which I like. Interestingly, my replacement pen does not have the spinny issue that the first pen did. So I don't know why there's that difference in how the pens were manufactured. Maybe they found that that was an issue with the first round of pens and they changed that in their later manufacturing. I have no idea, but it's just kind of interesting that there's that very clear difference between the first pen that I received and the second pen. So I'll just do a quick, so as you can see, there's a pretty significant price difference between these two pens. And the interesting thing is that I actually feel like the Kaweco Perkeo, besides the packaging and I guess the converter that isn't included, this kind of feels like a higher quality pen. As I said, there's no like acrylic belly buttons anywhere. The plastic has a pretty durable, solid feel to it. I really like this detail at the top. I think they do that on all of their pens. I don't know. The Ferris wheel press has those plastic belly buttons, some quality control issues with the cap being spinny or not spinny. And I do really like the converter, and I'm glad that that came with it. So I think that does add some value to the pen overall. And of course, the packaging is really nice. It's great. But overall, for a plastic pen, I feel like this feels a little bit cheap in construction for the $30 USD that you're paying for it. I would have expected a little bit more, and I feel like because of the price, I'm not really super stoked about getting another one, and I don't think I will. I'm really happy with the customer service. It's a great thing that they did send me a replacement when I kind of showed them what was happening with my first pen. And I think that the replacement does work a little bit better, but overall there's not a huge difference between the first pen that I got and the replacement pen. They seem pretty similar, besides this one having a few more issues with hard starts and also the cap being different. Maybe the cap doesn't have as good a seal, and that's why maybe the nib dries out. I don't know, but this one obviously doesn't have that issue. One thing that I do really like about the Carousel fountain pen in comparison to the Kaweco Perkeo is the color range. These guys have such beautiful colors, as I mentioned before. I honestly had a really hard time choosing between these colors, which is why I requested the replacement pen to be in a different color, because there were just like so many beautiful colors to choose from in the color range for the Carousel. There are these like, you know, it's a really beautiful creamy white. There is a dusty pink color that would have looked great with these two. And there's also a darker kind of midnight blue that you can get. There's just like a lot of really great colors in this pen set. The Kaweco Perkeo colors are ugly. Like, they're really ugly, in my personal opinion. There are some just basic ones, like there's a straight black one, there's a clear one. This specific pen came in a like new spring color set, which had a teal, a pink, and a green, which were okay colors. I feel like I like this one and the green color the most, but the standard colors are like so ugly. I don't know. I just feel like they're not really attractive at all. And I don't know why they don't have them released in better, more attractive colors. If this, or when this pen comes out with a better color range, I will definitely be buying more of these Kaweco Perkeos. I'm just like super happy with the experience of writing with this pen overall. I would say that if aesthetics are really, really important to you, you might want to try out the Carousel fountain pen from Ferris Wheel Press. But if you're looking for functionality and just a pleasant writing experience, I would personally go with the Kaweco Perkeo. And I think that overall they do look quite similar, even to the Carousel fountain pen, so you're not missing out on a ton. You know what I mean? And as nice as the packaging is from Ferris Wheel Press, and I really do appreciate that part of the pen, at the end of the day, you're not writing with the packaging, you're writing with the pen itself. So I wish there had been a little bit more effort in the make of the pen to make sure we didn't have like details like this, or that these were covered up somehow. I hope that this video helped anyone who was deciding between getting these two. and I will see you in a future video. Bye!